If you haven't seen an OMODA or a Jaecoo vehicle on the roads in the last few months, you've probably been living under a rock because they're insanely popular. Now the parent company Chery has come up with their own name cars for the UK market, aiming to be a little bit more affordable and more practical for families. Thanks to Pye Motors Chery, Barrow and Furness, I've already checked out the smaller Chery Tiggo 7 SUV. Now I'm checking out this, the Chery Tiggo 8. This is the 7-seater family SUV, and this is the plug-in hybrid that I'm testing today with Chery's Super Hybrid System. So today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this car and should you consider it as your next family vehicle. Huge thanks to Pye Motors Chery in Barrow and Furness for making this video possible, and to Michael, the sales manager. Starting with the front of the Tiggo 8, it's quite similar to that of the Tiggo 7. So you've got this large diamond grille. It does stick out a bit, but not as much as the Tiggo 7. So it's got a sleeker look, I think. You've still got quite big headlights as well. And again, if you squint, you're a bit far away. It could look like an Audi. I saw an older Q7 drive past me before and I thought, yeah, this looks quite similar to that actually. It's not offensive though, it does look quite nice. You do have this chunky Chinese plate holder, which loads of Chinese cars have, but you don't have to have that on. You could just stick the plate on. It looks a lot better. This diamond style grille that we first saw on the OMODA 5, however, it looks less like teeth on the Tiggo product. Both trims, both the Aspire and Summit, look pretty much identical to the outside. To the side, the Tiggo 8's got quite a nice inoffensive design. You do have flush door handles, unlike the Tiggo 7. I prefer having proper handles, however these do pop up on approach to the vehicle, which is quite nice. Another nice thing with the Tiggo 8 is the keyless entry. It just opens as you walk up and hands you the door handle, which is nice. I said the same about the Tiggo 7 though. When you walk away, it sounds a little bit like you're trodden on your dog's foot. It does squeak at you, but at least you know the car's locked. There you go. I would prefer these to be in gloss, these sections here on the A and B pillars, but then it is a much cheaper vehicle than most of its competitors, isn't it? You do get roof rails on both the Aspire and the Summit model as well, which is great. It's just over 4.7 meters long, so it's not ridiculously massive, but of course it does have that third row, which we'll move on to in a little bit. To the rear, the Tiggo 8 looks very American, I'd say. Very much Lincoln inspired, and that's not a bad thing. We don't have Lincoln in the UK anyway. It's like the premium version of Ford. Down to the bottom of the bumper as well, these outlets, fake exhausts quite obviously, but they look very like the Ford Cougar, so there's definitely an American vibe to the back of the car. You can see that it's quite a big looking car as well. You got Chery spelled out across the tailgate like that, so you know what it is. And then again, this chunky plate holder, which you can get rid of and stick the plate on, will look a lot better. Plug-in hybrid badge here on the Super Hybrid model. Very interesting brake light up here and interesting indicators, which I'll show you now. So you should see the brake light now, and then the indicators. Quite cool, and it's got a rear wiper as well, which is a great practicality. Obviously on the Jaecoo 7, which is more premium, it's tucked up behind the spoiler, which does look better. Wheels on the Tiggo 8 are all 19 inches, regardless of the trim and regardless whether you go for the petrol or this hybrid model. The petrol models do have a slightly different 19-inch alloy wheel design to these standard 19-inch hybrid wheels, which are on the Aspire and this Summit model. As you can see, they are wrapped in Kumho tyres, so they're not the most expensive, most premium tyres, so they're not going to provide the best grip. I've driven this today, but it's been mostly dry, so I've not really had any issues with grip. Just a couple of times where there's a little bit of wheel spin, because you do have quite a lot of torque, and it is front wheel drive of course as well. But of course they do have to cut costs somewhere. As this car starts at under £34,000 for the plug-in hybrid, it makes sense that they're gonna need to save some money in some places, but also you're saving money as a customer, so you could always pay a bit more and buy some nice set of all-season tyres to put on the vehicle. As for colours on the Tiggo 8, there's a total of 5 options to choose from. As standard, it comes in the Arctic White, which does look good on the car, just a nice sleek look. Optional colours are £500, including this forest green metallic, which actually looks black in some lights, and then in some lights it's very like emerald, very bright green. So it's quite interesting colour actually on the car. You've also got reef blue, midnight black for a nice sleek look. However, this forest green does give that vibe as well. And last but not least, you've got fossil grey, which is a bluey grey colour. Online it does look more brighter than in person. Again, in the sun, really nice. The colours shift quite a bit, which is interesting. This is that fossil grey colour, and you can see in this winter sun, it does have that nice green tinge. It looks quite cool. The Tiggo 8 7 and the Jaecoo 7 have all got the same powertrain, super hybrid system as Chery call it. So it's got a 1.5 turbocharged petrol engine with the electric motors. They're all front wheel drive, so you don't have an all-wheel drive model available. Same thing with the Tiggo 7, the seat doesn't go very low at all. I know it's not a sports car, but it would have been nice to have a little bit of a lower seating position, I'd say. You can move it quite far back though, and the driver's seat is electronically adjustable as standard regardless of the trim. You can really see from this angle probably the high driving position, so it really does give you that commanding feel, especially if you're a shorter driver. You might be a bit daunted to drive such a big car basically, but I don't think you would feel it when you get in it. It's very easy to judge the size. It's quite an easy car to point and know where you are in the road with, so that is good. And the being high up will give you a bit more confidence as well. Also with bigger cars, people often do tend to stay out your way, which is nice. To 60 now, it's good. There's not massive amount of noise, just has quite a lot of roll in the corners, but it's more of a cushiony, comfortable family SUV than anything sporty. It's not an agile car, you won't be surprised, but not many are in this segment. Kodiaq a bit more, especially if you've got like a VRS model or Sportline model, and the same will be with a Tayron R-Line. But then you're looking at easy £10,000–15,000 more than this car, which is a lot of money, isn't it? I'm testing the Summit model today, which is the top spec. Chery, Jaecoo, OMODA make the specs so easy, which is great. It makes it easier for production, it makes it easier for the dealerships, it makes it easier for customers. So it's a win-win-win, and it also helps keep the cost down instead of having to add option packs, which can be quite fun to configure your car, but you basically just get what you're given on each trim. The only thing you can actually choose on the vehicle is the colour. Give it some beans. Really good, accelerates nicely. The rear view mirror is very kind of zoomed out. Hopefully they'll change that. One thing about the Chinese is that they do tweak so often on the cars, which is great. They're always improving them. You find yourself using the side mirrors a bit more, kind of like a van. However, the side mirrors are really big and they do give you a really good view and what's behind as well. As with the Jaecoo 7 and with the Tiggo 7 as well, it features the 18.4 kilowatt-hour LFP battery from CATL with an official EV range of 56 miles, which is really impressive, especially for this sort of size of car. The Tiggo 8 is capable of 40 kilowatt DC type fast charging, which means you can fully charge it from 30 to 80% in 20 minutes, which is great. However, public charging is very expensive. It's cheaper just to use a bit more fuel and put petrol in if you're out and about, but you can just charge it at home. I would recommend you do that. You can charge it at home in under 3 hours on a wall box, which is great to see. If you did just use a 3-pin plug, it would take around 12 hours to fully charge. So you don't need to necessarily even buy a wall box if you wanted to have one of these, but it will just reduce that charging time significantly and worth doing to get the most out of the vehicle. The Skoda Kodiaq does have an EV range of up to 71 miles, so that is better. However, it's not available as a 7-seater. And the Kia Sorento is available as a 7-seater, but its EV range is nowhere near what this has. You can't hear the engine hardly ever, which is quite nice. It's just very refined, the engine. The internal combustion engine vehicles from Chery you can't say the same about. They're a little bit more horse. With the plug-in hybrid and electric motors, so smooth. Even when the engine 1.5 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine does kick in, it's never really loud. Obviously it's great as well that you've got a turbocharged petrol, not just naturally aspirated, so that also gives you a good boost of power. The internal combustion engine versions have got a 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol, but their fuel economy is of course nowhere near what a plug-in hybrid can deliver. Chery OMODA Jaecoo are also expected to be bringing self-charging hybrids next year as well, so that'll be interesting. It just has a nice torquey feel. You've got 365 Newton meters of torque, 204 PS, which is 201 brake horsepower. That means 0 to 62 in 8.5 seconds, so exactly the same as what you get on the Jaecoo 7 and the Chery Tiggo 7 as well. Like with the Tiggo 7, Chery have done a very similar kind of engine cover. Open it like so to look at the engine, which seems a bit unnecessary. It's kind of like an EV where they've kind of made it look all nice and clean. And you've also got your washer fluid just there in an easy place. You do have hydraulic struts on the bonnet, which is a nice premium touch. You can hardly ever feel it change gear, if you like. It's got a dedicated hybrid transmission, or DHT, with kind of 3 stages, gears essentially, but you never really feel it change up because it does feel more like an EV to drive, which is nice. It's just very smooth, the power delivery, and it doesn't really matter what mode it's in as such. It always feels quite similar, which is good. It will also keep a little bit of reserve of battery when you run out of long range to act as like a self-charging hybrid, but always, to get the best MPG, it's worth plugging it in. Chery say this can do on a full tank on 1 full charge 55 miles per gallon, which is really good. So 745 miles out of a 60 litre tank, so 56 miles per gallon, that's excellent. So you can get great miles per gallon even if you don't plug it in all the time. This, over the last 31 miles, has averaged 122 miles per gallon, and it's saying if it didn't have electric, the engine was just running at 46 miles per gallon, which isn't actually bad at all. Going up the hill now, see what noise the car makes, if any. You'd think it would growl a bit going up the hill at 60. It literally makes no noise. It's really good, the Super Hybrid system. I was very impressed with it on the Jaecoo 7 as well. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but I did. Electric motors as well take so much strain off the petrol engine. It drives a lot like an electric vehicle a lot of the time, which is good. It's got that very torquey, ready to go feel. It's just quite calm and quiet, like quite refined actually. Yeah, it's just a very, very smooth pickup. I'll take you onto faster roads in a minute so you can see what that's like. See acceleration off the roundabout. Acceleration is fantastic on this car. It does give you a bit of a surge of power after though, like a split second after. So it is just something to bear in mind if you've got things in front of you. That 56 mile EV range as well is great because you can a lot of time just use electric, but then for longer journeys, you've of course got the petrol engine. It just feels very linear all the time, like no matter the state of charge of the battery, like it's on 18%, it still feels the same as what it did when it had more, so it's very good. Also, the attention monitor on this has not been nagging me. It's been really good because it's placed here, the same as on the Tiggo 7, much better than having it on the pillar like on an MG or other Chinese vehicles. Auto hold comes on straight away, which is always good. You don't have to press your foot really hard on the brake like you do on some cars. For example, like the new Audis, a lot of them you have to really push your brake really hard, which is quite annoying. Let's see how it is with speed bumps now. Obviously made the suspension quite soft to deal with things, but then it's got quite a bit of travel in it, which does mean that small imperfections are smoothened out really well, but big things can be a bit of a shock because you bounce quite a bit. At slower speeds, it does show those cameras as well that shows the side of the car, which is quite clever. You can also, in the settings, adjust the volume of the indicators, which is quite nice. They're on very quiet at the moment. Like the Tiggo 7 as well, it doesn't feel like a cheap car. You don't feel like you're kind of in something inferior. You feel like you're in something sometimes a little bit different, and it does feel less familiar in a way to the Tiggo 7 with the big screen and stuff, which I'm not a fan of, and the rear view mirror. But in general, like the materials, things like that are all good quality. If you look like a few years ago at MGs, for example, they were still feeling quite kind of below par. They're a lot better now, and they are quite good. The HS is a clear competitor for the Tiggo 7 and Tiggo 8 actually, but that's just a 5-seater. But I did actually really enjoy my time with the HS plug-in hybrid. If you want to watch my video on that car, you can click up there. I would say the HS was more fun to drive than this car, but I don't think it felt quite as premium, and obviously it doesn't have 7 seats. It's quite clever as well is that most of the time the electric motors are running, even the engine's kicking in, it's just kicking in to power the electric motors, if that makes sense. Sometimes it does directly drive the wheels, but most often not. You do have regen as well. You can have the energy recovery level low, medium or high. It does just turn itself on medium each time, so if you did need to change it, you have to do it each time. It's quite a light regen, so it's not like high regen on a EV. If I put it on high regen now, this is high regen. It's not a full one pedal drive to a stop. Honestly, the difference is pretty minimal between the different regen modes. It's on medium regen now. It does know the car's in front as well, so that's quite clever, and it'll try and keep that distance from them. If you do get too close, it'll slam on. The brakes also don't make any noise when you come to a stop, which is nice. They don't go like, "Urgh," which some other cars can do. As well, they don't feel so disconnected from the car. That's good. You can hear that electric noise now. Indicator's a proper indicator, hallelujah. I'm very glad about that. There's some cars recently, especially Chinese cars as well, it tends to be, where the indicator's just one that can't really use properly, it's just a bit odd. Whereas this is better, where it actually clicks down like a normal indicator. The gear selector is a stalk though, so the Tiggo 7, I was quite impressed with that, with the hybrid, because it actually still had a selector down here, whereas this has got the stalk, which you get used to it, I suppose. Handbrake comes on when you put it in park as well, which I really like. And how about the interior of the Chery Tiggo 8? Well, this is quite a plus point of Chery OMODA Jaecoo, is that the interiors they're making are quite surprising, especially for the cost of the vehicles. You've got wireless phone charging as standard, electronically adjustable driver seat as standard on the vehicle as well. This Summit model is the top spec vehicle, so you get the 12-speaker Sony sound system, opening panoramic sunroof, which I'll show you in just a minute, the massaging and electronically adjustable passenger seat on the car, a heads-up display as well, so it is very well equipped. The seats are also heated and ventilated, so that's great to see. The heads-up display is excellent on this Summit model. However, as standard, you get this 15.6-inch central infotainment screen and this 10.25-inch digital dash as well. This is the same screen you find in the Jaecoo 7. However, it's portrait in that car and it's landscape in this one. So quite clever that they're utilising their technology in that way. It is annoying though that it's facing away from the driver, unlike the Tiggo 7 actually, which is facing towards the driver, so a more driver focused feel. So here is the view as the driver. To start the car, you just have to put your foot on the brake and then it starts. You do have to have your seatbelt on to get the car to move, otherwise it kind of locks the handbrake on. You've got a little drive mode selected down here for normal, sport and eco. You've got some shortcuts down here as well for like demisting. It's quite easy. The climate control on it is always down here, the shortcuts. Same for the seats as well, for your heated seats or your ventilated seats. On this Summit model, you also have a massage seat, but it's the passenger seat. This navigation is actually really good. It shows you if there's a closed road, stuff like that. Obviously, when you pop the car in reverse, it does come up with the cameras as well. You've got my favourite function, which is the both sides feature, wheel side view, they call it. You can have the front or the rear. Front view there, so that's my front wheels. It does come up at slow speeds anyway to show you the side of the car, but then at very slow speeds, like for your sensors, it comes up the full screen, which is very handy actually, and it's standard on the Tiggo 8, so no matter the model you get, you do get that, which is really great to see. Sometimes it goes into neutral, there you go, with this gear selector on the column. Like I say, I'm not a massive fan of that. I do prefer a proper shifter on the car. You can also look at the car in 3D should you wish and kind of scan all around it. Apparently as well, from what I've seen on Jaecoo 7 forums, is it shows you if the sunroof is open. Quite clever actually, although you can't actually change the colour of the car on there, which some people have said is a bit annoying, or you could just get a white one and then it would match, but that wouldn't bother me whatsoever. This is your home. You've got a little campfire, and then you've got apps, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, stuff like that. That's great. I don't find this the most intuitive screen, but I do love the heads-up display. You should be able to see the heads-up display there. They're never done justice on camera, but it's a very clear one. If I pop in navigation as well on here, the directions come up on there, and then they also come up with those arrows, which is actually really good. They're not distracting at all because they're not massive. It's a really nice little guide, and it tells you the name of the road that you're going to be going on like that, which is really clever. Also your speed sign as well. It's very like a Kia heads-up display this, and very, very clear. So I really like that on the Summit model. It's definitely the model that I'd choose if I was looking at one of these cars. Of course, it's a bit more money, but it is worth the extra cost in my opinion. That's for sure. These seats are lovely. They're the same on the Aspire and this top spec Summit. They've got kind of an Alcantara feel to them. They're quite nice. So they are like a synthetic leather, but they've got kind of a matte feel to them rather than being a synthetic shiny slippy. They grip you in a bit. Steering wheel's great. It's very ergonomic as well. Some Chinese steering wheels are just horrible to hold and just not comfortable at all. This is really ergonomic and just feels normal. You do have the glossy black buttons, but they're not the touch sensitive ones. You do actually have to press them. You've got your cruise control on the steering wheel, which is a much better place to have it. Another trend a lot of Chinese cars are doing is they're putting the cruise control on this stalk with the drive selector, and it's just even more confusing. So I do prefer this a lot more. Really nice materials at the top of the dash. I really like the 12-speaker Sony sound system as well on the Summit model. It's really good. Again, just like the Chery Tiggo 7 and the Jaecoo, you do have the full panoramic roof on the Summit model, which is very impressive. It's got an electronic blind, and then you can actually open the roof as well. It's got a separate button. That's great. And get that, it goes the whole front section open, which literally hardly any other car does. It's really great to see that, so you get all that fresh air in, which I don't really want today because it is a little bit cold, but so nice to have that feature in the summer. For example, the little blind pops up as well at the front of it, so it's very clever. And just floods the cabin with light as well, so it's bright and airy in here. You do get a light headlining though as standard, so it shouldn't be too dingy in the standard Aspire model. Now for the very clever passenger seat in the Tiggo 8. It's freezing, so I'm going to put the heating on first of all. One thing that's very cool is the leg extension. Unfortunately, the driver doesn't have this, but you probably wouldn't want one this long. That's like a whole bed. You can also have the massage, should you wish, just here. So you can have wave, catwalk, cross, relieve and jump. It's actually quite nice. You got the lumbar support as well. You don't have the electric seat for the passenger on the Aspire model though. And you can just relax. The dentist chair. I do really like this leg support though. I've not seen one this substantial on any car before. They're normally half the length of this, and this is like proper comfortable. It's like sitting on the couch at home. These seats, by the way, I can't fault them at all. It's been so comfortable to sit in. A lot of ways you could compare this car to MG HS. However, that car is faster, you know, a bit peppier to drive, but inside this wins definitely. I do prefer the MG screen, but the seats, so much better than the HS, so I've not had any backache in this car at all, and I think most people will really find the same to be true, that they're comfortable, more comfortable than the Tiggo 7 seats and the OMODA 5 as well. They're really substantial. They're more like the ones in the OMODA 9, so they've done a great job for comfort. This is very nice out there. Yeah, just leave me to it. I'll just have a little nap. As it is the Summit model, you get the electric tailgate, which is very handy, especially on a car of this size. This has got the rear 2 seats in place as well, and you can see not a massive amount of space. With all 7 seats in place, Chery says the Tiggo 8 has an impressive 117 litres of boot space. I wouldn't describe this as impressive. There's not much space, so you could actually carry 7 passengers for short journeys, like a little shuttle car if you like. You can't really take 7 people and their luggage on holiday in the Tiggo 8. As you can see, there's just not enough room. However, when you drop down these 2 rearmost seats, you do get 494 litres. It looks bigger than that. It's pretty impressive boot space actually. Not bad. It's not as big on paper though as rivals like the Kodiaq and the Sorento, but not bad at all. When you have all the seats folded, you have over 1900 litres of space, so a huge space, almost like a van, that you can put all sorts in there. It's very handy. Underneath here, bit of hybrid gubbins basically. Then you also do have your parcel shelf here. I just put it under there with 2 positions to put it in. Obviously, if you have it in the 7-seat format, you do need to take this out because it's not a roller coaster. You're not going to have a little bar in front of the people, that wouldn't be very safe. And you do also have home charger here, but if you have the parcel shelf and the home charger in the boot with the 7 seats in place, no space at all. So just something to bear in mind. It is a fairly practical car though, let's be real. It's got quite a big boot with the 5 seats in place. What would the rear passengers think of the Tiggo 8? Well, it is of course a family car, so it's designed to be practical for families. This is my seating position. I'm about 5'8". Knee room's not too bad. It's not as much as maybe what you'd expect. You can move them forward to give the 3rd row more space, or backwards. This is as far as they go. Your centre armrest here as well, bit of plastic, and then your 2 cup holders all still wrapped up. Nice, brand new. Isofix points are connected, which is good. They do look a bit cheap, but again, it's a cheap car, so that's fine. The floor's almost completely flat, which is fantastic. Back here, you've got a USB-A and a USB-C. Heated rear seats as well. What a luxury. That's only on the Summit model, of course. A pocket on the back of each seat. Window controls. And unlike the Tiggo 7, which had cheaper materials in the back, this has got the same materials as the front of the cabins. The headrests are more sculpted again, so you've got more kind of a lean on. They're not the most squishy though. They could have been a bit more cushiony, which would have been nicer, but not bad. They're okay. Check out the middle seat as well. Backrest not too bad. I'm buying this nice big puffer jacket just to give me a bit more padding, but it's not bad. Again though, it's just normally a shorter journey seat, isn't it? The middle seat. Your proper seats are the outer seats, which are nice, and you've got the ISOFIX points. Do you have it on the passenger seat? No, you don't. Unfortunately, no front passenger ISOFIX points, which is a little bit of a shame because that's what Volkswagen Group do bring. But like I say, they don't have a 7-seat version of the plug-in hybrids, so Chery wins in that aspect. Let's check out the third row though, because it is a 7-seater. Third row, this kind of slides forward the rails and move this back. Okay, bit cozy. Let's put the headrest up. Headrest is actually quite cushiony even in the third row, which is good. The back of the seat as well is kind of felted, so it's a bit softer. I'm 5'8", it's a bit of a cozy feel back here, let's say that. Hop that seat up as well. They kind of are quite a tilted like that, so they actually give you a bit more support than a lot of other third row seats, which can feel very, very flat, whereas these are a little bit more supportive but are better for kids with legs half the length of mine. They'd be really comfortable. You don't have ISOFIX points on the third row either. You do have a cup holder on each side here, but you don't have any USB-Cs. You do have your 12-volt socket though, which you could access from the third row, so that's good. Not bad in here. Headroom, yeah, that is quite tight. So it isn't the biggest third row out there. It is a little bit smaller than the Kodiaq and the Sorento, I think, but not massively. There's not a big difference in it. It's quite tight though, like I say, but you can kind of compromise with the middle row should you wish. And you could have it like that, for example, and then I've got a lot more leg room. You've got a little bit of space just to squeeze your feet under the seat as well, which is also good because not all cars have got that. Because I remember on the Tiggo and Allspace, you didn't used to be able to actually put your feet properly under the seats. The headrests are quite interesting. You've also got this weird little handle on them, which is, yeah, strange, but there you go. Yeah, not bad. Of course, for occasional seats, it's quite nice that you've got a 7-seat option. If that third row space just doesn't seem to be enough for you though and your family, not to worry, Chery are bringing the Tiggo 9 very soon, which is an even bigger third row SUV. So it's going to be further practical again, but will be more expensive. So then, what's my verdict on the Chery Tiggo 8? Well, I've been very impressed with the company's vehicles, with the Jaecoo 7, with the Tiggo 7, OMODA 9, and now this Tiggo 8. It's no surprise that I'm impressed with it. Value for money is excellent. Comfort is excellent. I love the sound system as well. The sunroof, things like that are just great, especially at this price point. You just don't expect it, and that's where they're really going to win over customers, especially monthly deals, things like that, salary sacrifice, and also low benefit in kind tax for company car drivers. It's great. That 56-mile EV range is achievable as well if you're driving it carefully. Round town, really nice. And even for longer journeys, it's a very comfortable, nice cruiser too. You've of course got the 7 seats, which not the biggest, could be bigger. Some of the tech is a bit confusing at times, and there is a few tweaks that could be better. It's also not the sportiest car to drive, but it doesn't claim to be. It claims to be a practical, family-friendly plug-in hybrid model, and that's exactly what it does. So I think it will be a popular car, and I definitely recommend you try out one for your next family vehicle. A huge thanks again to Pye Motors Chery in Barrow and Furness, and to Michael, the sales manager. All their links are in the description down below, so do check them out if you are looking at a Chery vehicle. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.